It's 2022, and by now you've probably heard all of the pros and all of the cons of freelancing, full-time freelancing, working for yourself, being an entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it. I feel like over the course of the last decade, the whole idea of working from home and or working for yourself, we've kind of come around on it. Not quite full circle, but it used to be something that everybody talked about like it was the dream. And now you'll hear a lot of people honestly say, no, that's really not for me. I need to not be in my house. I want to be away from my house. I want to be in a workplace, and I want to be able to leave my work at the office or wherever I am and come home and not think about it. And that's completely valid. I also think that after 2020 and a lot of 2021, maybe people are a little bit tired of working from home. I can see especially how parents would be really stressed out and overwhelmed having been around their kids way more than they're used to. I have been freelancing, I wouldn't say full-time, but solidly at least part-time since I suppose I really started in 2010, even though I was not making a lot of money back then. Through 2019, I was still teaching creative writing workshops, like on a campus at a nonprofit organization, 3 to 4 times a week. So that was more of the part-time sort of supplement to my freelancing income. It's been a slow transition into being a full-time freelancer over the last decade. And I thought I would just start this vlog because I've made videos about ghostwriting specifically, and I'll link to that series up here. But freelancing itself, ghostwriting is like a very specific thing, and freelancing is a very broad and general thing. And while the vast majority of the freelance work that I do now is ghostwriting, I have a lot of experience freelancing as an editor, as a copywriter, doing all kinds of other things, and just the work-life balance, as they say, for freelancers is just a really vast topic that I definitely couldn't cover in one video. And I figured it could be its own series. I put a poll up over the weekend asking you guys your thoughts on freelancing. Is it something you want to do, or you do full-time, part-time, as a side hustle, just for fun, or that you're not interested in at all? And the split came out pretty interesting. 32% I'm a full-time or I want to be full-time. 22% said I'm part-time or I want to be part-time. 12% said it's my side hustle. 7% said I freelance a little for fun, but it's not really about the money. And 28% are not interested in any type of freelancing. So with the exception of freelancing a little for fun, it's a surprisingly kind of evenish split. And I hope this is interesting to you guys, even if you have want nothing to do with freelancing. I'm still honestly trying to get my head around all the different things I want to share with you guys in terms of freelancing, but I also want to make sure I get to my actual work today. So I'll start by saying, if you do have any specific questions about freelancing that you want me to cover in future vlogs, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I'll start saving them and checking them out every week as I film a new vlog. But for now, I thought today I would start by talking about scheduling work, because it is Monday, January 3rd, and I have 3 months of just a whole lot of work lined up, and I've already organized my schedule, and I thought I'd share just a little bit about how I went about doing that. One of the things you'll hear people say a lot when they talk about the kind of cons, I guess, of working from home is that you can wear your pajamas, you can work in bed, and that kind of affects your mentality. And that's not a lie. That is something that I definitely struggled with back in the very beginning. I remember having days where I was in my pajamas in bed and just on, like, watching stuff on Netflix or scrolling through. At the time I was on Tumblr. This was a long time ago. And thinking to myself, I really need to write that thing that's due on Friday, but I don't have to do it right now. Even though it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, I can just keep scrolling, and it's like fun for a while, and then it just gets to be, I don't want to say overwhelming. I've never missed a deadline or anything like that, and I've never gotten myself into trouble by pushing back work so much, but you do eventually end up in a place mentally, or you can end up in a place where you're like, I'm working 24/7. Even though you're not working 24/7, but your work is all in this bubble that you live in, and you're just kind of like on and off picking at it, and it's not a good feeling. I completely understand the desire to like go to a workplace and work and then, you know, leave it. Go away from it and have a personal life. And I think that especially when you're starting out, it's valid advice to have a workstation. I went, most of the time that I lived in New York, I didn't have a desk. And when I got one, it was this like super tiny little desk that I set up right next to the futon. I didn't have a lot of space to spread stuff out, but I could at least sit at it and get myself in the work zone. And then I moved to Dallas, and I'm in this apartment where I have this awesome desk that's like built into the wall, and I have all this space to spread out. And this is definitely like my little office space, and I absolutely love it. Do I still work in bed sometimes? Oh yeah, absolutely I do. And I've gotten to the point now where it doesn't matter, I still get stuff done. In fact, kind of the irony is that over the years, I have very gradually transitioned from being a night owl, somebody who would sleep till like 9 or 10 and have a really slow start to the day, and then kind of start working in the afternoon, and then get my best work done late in the evening. Just in recent years, I've become the kind of person who sometimes I wake up naturally at like 6 or 6:30 or 7, and I start like, I like to get my work done in the first part of the day. My best work I do before lunch. As the day goes on, you know, I need to do less mentally like creative tasks, like actually writing a draft. And the afternoon is more for like the technical kind of easier tasks, like just responding to messages and things like that. And then I don't work in the evenings, which is funny because that's kind of a traditional 9-to-5 lifestyle, but that's what I've settled into. The point is, I guess you can make anything work for you, but it does take a lot of trial and error, and it can go from feeling amazing to be working from home 24/7 to like really confusing and weird, and you might have to go through some stuff to figure out a way to make it work for you. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about what I have planned for the next couple months and what I have planned for this week. Over the next 3 months, I have 4 ghostwriting clients. One of them is for a 65,000 word book that's a sequel to a book we wrote together last year. One is a 55,000 word sequel to a book we wrote together last year. So these are 2 clients that I have a good working relationship with. One is for a 20,000 word book, and one is for a 30,000 word book. Oh, hey, I do have a 5th client. This particular client is hiring me to essentially polish up his draft. So I'm not so much ghostwriting it as I am taking the draft from him, doing like a line level edit, but then implementing those edits myself. The 55,000 word book is due at the end of February, and the other 3 books are all due around the end of March. And as most of you guys probably know if you've watched my other vlogs, I am also working on my own mystery novel right now, which I am hoping to use to query a new literary agent at the end of this year, hopefully sometime this fall. And I do want to make sure I carve out some time to get some work done on that book every week. In addition to all of this, I do have a couple of book coach clients that I'm working with. The difference between book coaching and ghostwriting is that these clients come to me and they are at some stage of working on their own book. They might be at the very, very beginning brainstorming phase, or all the way through they have a draft and they don't know what to do with it, but they know it needs a lot of work. I am not doing any writing for them. What I do is I read their pages. They send me something every week to read, and then we meet for about an hour over Zoom and we talk. We brainstorm together. We work through plot problems. We work through character development stuff. We come up with ideas on what they can do to take the next steps on writing or, drafting, editing, whatever it is they're doing with their book. And after the call, I put together sort of what I call a game plan for them, like this next week or however many weeks it's going to be until we have another consultation. Here are the steps I recommend. Here, if necessary, here are some writing exercises I recommend to work on this one particular issue you're having. It's very customized, whatever they need. I have 2 book coach clients for January and February. One of them, we chat every other Wednesday-ish. Sometimes it's every 3 Wednesdays, depending on how much more time she needs to get to the next stage in her book. And one of them, we are going to start with 4 weeks beginning mid-January. So it'll be the last 2 weeks of January and the first 2 weeks of February. We're going to set up a Zoom chat. I also have my 8-week teen writing course, which, by the way, if you know any teens who would be interested in that, you can still sign up for it. I think there's a few spots remaining. That course is all pre-filmed, so I don't have to do any lectures throughout the week. They're going to watch my pre-recorded videos for the lectures, and they have a workbook. But we are going to meet via Zoom once a week to workshop their stories. And I don't have the time for that scheduled yet. I will get it scheduled probably next week because the course starts on January 10th. And then, of course, there's filming and editing YouTube videos, which honestly, I just kind of squeeze in wherever I can. I'm trying really hard to leave my weekends open for scripting, recording, editing my YouTube videos that are not vlogs, but I know some of this work is going to bleed into the weekends, and that's okay. The way I've tried to structure things to start with is I'm going to dedicate Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday to my ghostwriting projects. So, for example, today my biggest task is to work on an outline for a client. This is the 65,000 word sequel, and we have a good summary. I have like about a page or two, and that we've already gone over together, and we know what we want the story to be. And what I want to do, my goal for the end of this week, is to give her a chapter by chapter outline, something that she can sit with for a few weeks, go over, make sure it's exactly the story, like I'm taking it in the direction that she wants, make any changes, and as she looks at that over the next few weeks, I'm going to turn my attention to writing the draft of the 55,000 word book, which I already have an outline for. We had that finished in December. Today, I also have a Zoom call with a client who our collaboration is starting today, and this is the client for whom I'm writing the 20,000 word book. And we're just going to go over all the materials and like kind of just discuss her vision for the book and where she wants it. This is one of the books that's due at the very end of March. Wednesday, I do have a call with one of my book coach clients, but otherwise, I am trying to dedicate Wednesdays completely to writing my mystery novel. And that's going to start with, I have a very, very messy kind of rough draft that I wrote for NaNoWriMo. It's about 50,000 words. And I've talked about what I'm going to do with it in previous vlogs, but if you're interested, check out my Watch Me Write a Mystery Novel vlog series, because I'll get into it more there. I do have this kind of tentatively planned out in my calendar all the way through March. And what I did was, for all of the actual drafts, writing the draft of each book, based on all the math I did, what I came up with is, if I want to stick to this Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, dedicated to those books thing, then I need to pretty much write 4,000 words a day, which is doable for me. There are going to be some days where I know I'm just not going to hit 4,000 words, but I know myself, and I know there will be other days where I hit 5,000 or 6,000 words, and I'm just gonna take it as it comes and adjust as needed. Like I said, I've reserved Wednesdays for my book, and I've left the weekends open for YouTube and just taking a break from work. But I also know that that's 3 days a week that if something happens, if I get sick, if just something comes up and I don't get the 4,000 words written that Tuesday, I can push it to Wednesday or to Saturday. That's the key, is just giving myself that wiggle room. And right now I feel good about having 3 days of wiggle room that I can use. If I need to sacrifice a day of working on my own book, I'll do it. If I need to sacrifice, writing a script for YouTube and push that video back a week, oh well, the clients will always come first. And so as long as there's room in there to handle all of that and get all of those deadlines met by the end of March, then I feel really good about this. And yeah, that's where I am right now. It is after 10 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to get to work on this client's outline. So here's the funny thing about today. I did not write anything today, but it was a really intense work day, more so than I thought it was going to be, because one, I decided I really needed to read through book 1 again. the book that I ghost wrote over a year ago at this point. Yeah. Before I really got into outlining the sequel, because I knew the client had changed some things. Nothing huge, but you know, I wanted to get it back in my head. And as I was reading, I realized that she had changed many characters' names, which is fine, but there was one name change in particular, and just, I won't get into why, but that one name change just completely, like, I don't want to say destroyed, but changed a lot of the summary that I had going for the outline for book 2. And I'm so glad that I caught it at this point in the stage, because it would have been terrible if I had developed this entire outline and sent it to her and she would have been like, actually, we can't do that because this. So anyway, a lot of reading today, a lot of communicating with that client, and got my head around it. Then I had to read some materials for a new client. We had a Zoom chat just because today was day 1 of our collaboration, and I had all her materials and I was reading through them, and we were just kind of like going over how this whole process is going to work. And you know, I think it's always good for people to see that the person they hired is a real person. And to be honest, I really like seeing my clients face to face. Like if they're willing to Zoom, I really like doing it. It just, I don't know, it's like a different relationship once you've actually seen each other and communicated. So it's almost 6 o'clock now, and I, with the exception of taking Rosa out a few times, I haven't stopped. So now I'm going to stop and turn my brain off for the rest of the evening and get some dinner, watch some shows, and yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Well, I said sometimes I work from bed, and Tuesday morning turned out to be one of those mornings. I've been working on my client's outline all morning. It was a really productive morning now that I have wrapped my head around that name change. I don't think I actually explained why that was such a big change, because you're probably thinking, okay, so she changed a character's name, big deal. When she sent me her thoughts on what she wanted for book 2, I thought this new name was a new character. She was talking about a character that existed in the first book. So you can see how that like kind of, you know, caused a little upheaval in my book 2 plans. But now that I have my head wrapped around it, everything actually makes a lot more sense. And yeah, I had a really, really productive morning working on that outline, and I'm going to continue to work on it this afternoon. It's kind of, you know, getting close to noon, so I'm probably going to take a break and take Rose on a walk soon. I was trying to think of one last helpful freelancing tidbit or something that I could throw into this vlog for you guys. And I wanted to touch on money, because I know that's just a big topic, like rates. What do you charge? How do you decide what to charge? Spoiler alert, it's capitalism. You charge what you want to charge. And some people are going to pay it and some people aren't. Like, that's the short version of it. There are obviously, you can, depending on the kind of service you offer, it's good to do your research and see what other people in your field are charging so that you can get an idea of where you want to fall. But anyway, I mentioned that I worked for some garbage pay early in my career, and it's true. And while I do think that when you're first starting out, you do need to pay your dues, as they say, a little bit. Just because you are not a published or heavily published writer doesn't mean your writing isn't high quality, and doesn't mean that you shouldn't be paid fairly for your work. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend writing 500-word articles for $5 as I did. I think that was a company taking advantage of people. So, the first few years of me freelancing, I did not get paid a lot. I taught creative writing workshops, and that was paying my bills more than the writing, you know. I worked for a travel magazine as a writer, and I started as an intern and graduated, like went up to editor, and they paid $25 per article and $200 a month for editors, or at least me. That was what they paid me. And I say that because the reason I left that particular organization is because, you know, some things came out and people were being paid a little unfairly, particularly the people who were, you know, female. So that's a whole other story time for another day. But from that, a colleague of mine who is now a very successful travel writer, she moved on and has done some really amazing things. She reached out to me not long after I left that magazine and said, I've been working with an agency called Inveritus Group, and they like hire teams of freelancers and put together like a team of copywriters, copy editors, etc., to work on big freelance projects, contracted projects with brands. And they were looking for travel writers because they had contracts with like Marriott and Hertz, the rental car company, and Accor hotels, just like a lot of hotels and just kind of travel brands. And I don't remember who it was at the time, but she was like, this is a huge project. They need more copywriters. Are you interested? And I said, yes. So I joined, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I remember working, I think for about 6 weeks. I was doing copywriting like 40 hours a week. It was the only work I did that 6 weeks. But in the end, it paid my rent for like a few months. It was a really big deal for me. That was like a breakthrough in freelancing. I had never paid off, paid my rent and some bills just solely off my writing. So that was huge. I continued working with Inveritus Group, the agency, for years, all the way through the beginning of 2020. And I had already started to kind of taper off my work with them because my ghostwriting fiction, like that whole thing was really picking up. But an editor reached out at this, probably a month into the pandemic and said, travel brands are kind of unsure as to what's going on right now. They're not really looking to spend as much money because people aren't traveling because everything is on pause. So there's not a lot of work, but we're going to get you guys what we can. And I responded to him and I was like, I'm actually good. I've got this ghostwriting stuff, so please give the work to the writers who really need it. And he said, cool, thanks. And that's the last I've been in touch with anybody over there. But I was with them for 5 years. Really great people, very organized. They pay timely, like whatever freelance work you get through them, they pay you a lump sum once a month. It's very reliable. I have nothing but good things to say. So if you're interested in that, they, I believe, are still hiring, copywriters, copy editors, writers, editors of all sorts. It's not just travel. They work with a lot of brands. Also translators and designers. So there's an application to fill out online, and I'm going to link to that down below if that sounds like something you're interested in and you're looking for work. And that's it. And the other thing is, as I was saying all of this, I just realized that, today is Tuesday, today's January 4th. I have 2 books out today. The Dog's Meow and My Otter Half, both published by Scholastic, have been released today. That means ideally if you go to a bookstore, you'll see them there, but also maybe not because the printing crisis is a thing. But if you order them, you should get them. So I will leave the links to those down in the comments below as well. And yeah, that's all I've got. I'm gonna go take my dog on a walk and get back into this outline this afternoon. Tomorrow is going to be my book day, my mystery novel day, and it's the first time I have worked on it or really thought about it at all since the end of NaNoWriMo, so that should be fun. That'll be a separate vlog going up on Friday. And in the meantime, if you have anything you want me to cover in this whole freelance vlog series, just let me know in the comments. Hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll see you Friday with another vlog. Bye.